Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. We're going to go over the views from everywhere, how we're bringing the world's largest geophoto library to you, our developers, and to those of you who have not stayed at the World Cup to watch the last few minutes. So thank you for coming. I'm Evan Rapoport. I'm a product manager on the Street View and Google Maps team. And this is Luke Vincent, engineering director for Street View and Trekker extraordinaire. So I used to live in Hawaii, and we had this great tradition back here that I'm trying to bring everywhere I go, especially when it's cold, even though it's summer here in San Francisco. And that was where, as a speaker, I would say, aloha, and the entire room would scream back aloha with this vigor that made you feel like it was 80 degrees out. And kids did this really well. I used to teach in schools, and everyone really enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to do it right now, and we're going to try to make sure it feels a little warm here in San Francisco. So aloha. Aloha. Wonderful. Every time, I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So today, this is what we're going to go over. We're going to talk about how over the last several years, we've been creating the world's largest geolocated photo library through our efforts in Street View and Google Maps. We're going to talk about how you can add your imagery just in case we've missed places that you really care about. And then we're going to talk about how you can access all of this data, including your own, using our APIs and our viewers, all at Google scale serving. So why are we doing this? I hate to be cheesy, but it's this beautiful world out there, and we really want to help you explore it. We really feel at the Google Maps team that it's our opportunity, and it's actually almost our mandate to make sure that you have better real-world experiences as you travel, as you make local decisions, as you go somewhere on the weekend. And so we really want to be the team that can help you have better experiences in the real world. And we care so much about photos, as you can tell by one of the world's largest cameras sitting next to me, that we believe photos can inspire us. We see photos like this, and it says, hey, I want to go there. Where is that? Who hasn't seen that in a post on social media? Where was that photo? I want to go there. This happens to be the Sydney Harbor Bridge, and I wouldn't suggest hiking to the top during a lightning storm. But these are the kind of things that inspire us. We see a photo like this, and we say, hey, to your family, let's go on a safari. Let's travel the world. Photos have this opportunity to inspire us. And when they're on maps, it tells us exactly where they are and where we can go. And we're really excited about this. So, without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to Luke to talk about what we've been doing with Street View to bring you imagery all over the world.
Thanks, Evan. This is me in this picture wearing this contraption, and this is me wearing it right now live. I love wearing this thing. We'll tell you more about it later. What is our mission in this team? We would like to bring imagery to our users, our billions of users, everywhere. And we want to collect it, organize it, make it useful. Our guiding principles really is to be comprehensive, be everywhere, be useful, obviously, and be accurate. Imagery that we collect around the world should be well geolocated in order to be useful in our product. So this is our mission, and I will tell you a little bit about how we're going about it and how we want to make it useful not just to our users, but to developers worldwide. So how do we go about collecting this imagery? Well, as you probably well know, we have already satellite imagery that we've had in our products for about a decade. This imagery is in fact very accurate. Even the clouds are accurate. If you use the new Google Maps, the cloud cover is real time. Zooming in further, we have also collected, and we're actively pursuing collection of aerial imagery around the world. And we use this oblique imagery to create 3D cities, so 3D models of urban areas around the world. We have hundreds of them now, also making our maps more useful. You can see here one of the stadiums we collected in Brazil for the World Cup. We have all of them, I believe, collected in 3D, live in our products. And zooming in even further, you will see a familiar area here, the Bay Area. And in the new Google Maps, we have made imagery much more prominent. We have what we call the runway, which is this bar of pictures at the bottom, which shows you imagery that's most relevant to your current view. Imagery that's meant to be useful and representative of what you're interested in looking at. We have imagery, as you may notice, from, we have photos from users, photospheres. Evan will tell you more about photospheres in a minute. We also have a lot of Street View imagery. Street View remains the largest corpus of geolocated photos that we have in our maps. And it's something we've been working on for almost a decade. So speaking of Street View, let me tell you a little bit about how we got started with this crazy mission, what we're doing about it today, and then we'll talk about our sort of expanding community efforts in the Street View space. So Street View started actually over a decade ago. It was an idea by our CEO, Larry Page, who felt really that street-level imagery should be useful to our users. And he really wanted to make university accessible and useful. So he himself collected imagery using a camcorder in the Bay Area and used the footage he collected to bootstrap research originally at Stanford University and then at Google. And in 2005, a group of Googlers, which I was part of, decided it was really time to do something about this and to make this real. So we developed a bunch of computer vision algorithms and built platforms to collect imagery. You see here in 2006, we built these very large and crazy-looking vans full of cameras and equipment, which we sort of took around the US and the Bay Area in particular, and collected imagery, enough imagery, and were able to process it enough to actually launch a product. We launched Street View in 2007 in Google Maps in first 5 cities. And there was so much interest and sort of traffic, we couldn't believe it. So we thought we had something useful, and so we worked hard to grow this product and scale it. So you see here, over the course of 2007 to early 2008, we actually expanded our coverage in the US. This is coverage expanding rapidly here. And then we essentially expanded the whole product around the world. And we're still busy doing this right now. In the process of doing this, we've hit just about any kind of issue you may imagine. Unique problems happen at scale. For example, this one. This is us collecting imagery in the Amazon in Brazil and frogs jumping on the camera. How many of you here, photographers, have had frogs jump on your camera? Not very many, right? So we've had that. We've had other encounters with other animals, like donkeys in some part of the world, what have you. So anything can happen, and has happened. So we've learned in the process. We've refined our processes. We've refined our algorithm. We've refined our cars, our approach to it. And today we're very proud to have built a really global platform for imagery collection. This is the latest car. You've probably seen them roaming the Bay Area and wherever you live. We have them in lots of places. And we're busy expanding. In fact, we have realized, not that long ago, that you couldn't just do this only with cars, obviously. The most beautiful parts of the world are not accessible by cars. Imagine castles, parks, museums. So we've built a variety of platforms derived from the Street View car. You see, we've put we have put that on a boat. We have even we've designed this tricycle that can be, mounted on various, other parts, like on a train, or can be used by itself, like here at Stonehenge. We have also a snowmobile, and we even have a partner called the Caitlin Sea View Survey that's built a kind of a rig that goes underwater to capture coral reefs, and they use our platform to publish the imagery. We started launching what we call these special collections of unique heritage sites a few years ago, and when we launched Pompeii, as you see here on the left in this picture, the Italian heritage authorities actually told us they had noticed an increase in foot traffic, to Pompeii, 25% increase, and we've noticed, similar kind of, increased traffic in some museums. So we take this as sort of evidence that our imagery is not just for couch potatoes. It's imagery that not just, lets you travel virtually, but inspires you to travel physically and go to places and explore the world. So we're very happy about this. So more recently, we've built this tracker, which I'm currently wearing, and we've taken it also to lots of places where you can't really go any other than by foot. Here you see we've had a group of Googlers go to the Galapagos to capture, a few of the unique sites there. All this imagery is live on maps. And I also was, lucky enough to go be part of the Grand Canyon, rafting trip where we took these trackers on 2 rafts and captured the entire length of the Grand Canyon. And the image is now live on Street View as well on Google Maps. And this was really my, best business trip ever. So it's really imagery that not everybody can, will be able to capture themselves. So we like to bring it to people who couldn't travel there. So where are we now? Here's our status. We have driven and we have launched imagery in about 56 countries, give and take, because some countries don't necessarily count. We have over 5 million miles live, and that's about 20 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon, to give you a reference. We have imagery on all 7 continents. So we have been busy, and we've learned a lot. But in fact, we have even more than that, because we recently, a few months ago, launched what we call internally a Street View Time Machine, which doesn't just let you explore a place by moving geographically, but lets you explore in time. So we've added the 4th dimension really to Street View, and we help tell the story of a place over time. If you go in Street View, you will find lots of places in Asia where there's frenetic construction. You will see the story of construction over time, and you can explore at each sort of time slice, geographically as well. Sometimes, sadly, this is also a story of destruction, like here in Japan, following the earthquake. We have actually imagery before and after. In fact, in many cases, we found that Street View is the only photographic record of places before disaster, which is amazing to us. However, so we've done all this. We have built this amazing platform. We have millions of miles of imagery captured in lots of countries, but we still need help. Why is that so? Well, it turns out if you really wanted to capture imagery everywhere, you would need probably trillions of images. We only have billions, so we have ways to go. In addition, we can't just take our cars and sort of drive everywhere all the time, right? We can't take our trekkers and sort of go everywhere. We need some help. We can't do it without community involvement, right? And this is where I think you guys fit in. Not only can you help us, by building amazing apps that can actually make the imagery more useful to more people in more contexts, as Evan will talk about, but you can also help, by encouraging more people to go and help collect imagery in ways that Evan will talk about, and make it useful in the context of these apps. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Evan, who will talk about these efforts and how we are hoping to engage everybody. Evan.
Thanks, Luke. All right, so I'm really excited today to talk to you about ways in which you can create Street View-like experiences yourself and then bring them into your apps with your own imagery or with ours. So we find from user surveys that people really just like using Street View to know where they're going, to see it in advance. This is one of the top uses that we see for it. And what more appropriate way to do it than this example of Walgreens using the Android Maps API to make sure that you know what their store looks like as you're driving there. It's pretty straightforward, but it works exactly as promised. When you're on your way there to Walgreens, they've made sure that you know what the place looks like. There we go. So who here has planned a running route or a biking route or a hiking route using Street View? All right, I see a good number of hands. So thanks to apps like Runtastic, which you can see out there on the floor if you want to go talk to them, they're using the Android Maps API to integrate Street View directly into their app so you can understand what your running route is going to look like. Is it a place that's safe to run? Is it a lot of elevation? Things like that. You can get a really good idea of the place and plan it right there in Runtastic. OK, who's ever used Street View while you were running? I'm not expecting too many hands here. Good. OK, thanks to Icon Fitness, they've built this treadmill that allows you to sort of virtually run through Street View as you're on the treadmill. It syncs to the speed you go, and you probably could see how this would be a lot of fun, especially if you're in a sweaty gym or a basement or something like that. Using the JavaScript Maps API, they built this Street View viewer that syncs to your speed. And so now, unless you're some crazy, crazy runner, I don't think you're going to run out of Street View to see. As Luke mentioned, we have 5 million miles, so start your running right now. Speaking of sort of these virtual experiences, who here is excited about Cardboard? All right, I expected lots of hands there. So I love Cardboard. I'm really, really excited about what this is going to do to bring virtual reality type experiences to everybody. All of the Street View data that we're talking about here is available to you to use in Cardboard. So if you head over to g.co/cardboard, you could learn more about that. Additionally, we're going to talk about photospheres and user-contributed panoramas and how you can immediately capture your own imagery with Android, 360 panoramas, and then put them directly into your Cardboard apps. So those of you who've been playing around with it, you probably see a little thing called Photosphere right there in your Cardboard UI. That's a great way and a great example to show how you could bring photospheres into Cardboard. So I'm really excited to see what you're going to do with this. Let's see what you can do. So if we don't have imagery where you want it, it doesn't matter how much imagery we have. And so we've really wanted to open up our platforms to everyone. So I'm going to talk about a few of those. The first is the Trekker Loan Program. as Luke is showing here. This is the trekker that we have been sharing with partners at no cost to them to go where they want to go. In the past with Street View, it was always us going. So our employees would go on these wonderful business trips and collect spots. And if it was raining that day, that sucked for us. That was the day we had film permits. With this program, we've partnered with organizations like travel authorities and nonprofits and educational groups and been sending our trekkers to them, and they go where they want to go when they want to go. Because who knows these places better than the people who actually live and love these locations? And so our first partner we announced last year was the Hawaii Visitors and Conventions Bureau. And they went and they hiked most of the Big Island and all of the hiking trails there, and now they're doing the same thing on Oahu. Here's an example of imagery that they collected in Volcanoes National Park. You can now walk through an active volcano virtually in Street View. Again, they've done this all at no cost to them. We gave them the trekker, we gave them a bunch of FedEx envelopes, they just mailed discs back to us, and we just keep it going, and they just keep on trekking. It's a really wonderful program, and if you work with any travel groups or anyone who would be interested in the trekker, I encourage you to go check that out. Here's a great example of closing the loop of how the Hawaii Visitors and Conventions Bureau launched all of this data directly in their website using the JavaScript Maps API so that when you're planning your trip on gohawaii.com, you can actually see this trekker imagery. So again, they collected it, they went where they wanted to go, and they published it. We host it, and we serve it, and it's available to them through the API. It's a really great way to plan your trip. So if you're interested, there's the URL, g.co/trekker. Sign up. Again, we're looking for people that are like tourism groups, nonprofits, companies, people that could get film permits for the locations that they want to go. We're really excited to talk to you more about that. If you have indoor places that you care a lot about, Trekker doesn't really work too well indoors. And so we have a program called Google Business View. What this does is lets you go into restaurants and small businesses and hotels and things like that all around the world. And with trusted photographers who we've worked with, they can go into these businesses, they sell their services, and they create virtual tours for these restaurants and businesses. We've seen a huge amount of success with this program. People are really excited about it, and we've been growing this program really, really quickly. So again, all of this data goes into Google Maps and becomes available to you, developers, as part of our APIs. Additionally, the imagery is really high quality and very, very consistent because these are trusted partners or trusted photographers. And so we've made it very prominent right there in Google Maps. So you'll see a See Inside label on some of this imagery, and you could just click right in and go right into that. And it's also really prominent on Google Search. So if you want this beautiful search listing, this is a great way for your clients, for your businesses to ensure that you have this really beautiful listing there. And the click-through rate is very, very high on that imagery, as you might imagine. Here's a URL where you could find out more about this. Again, this talk is all being recorded. You could go back to those later, but just search for Google Business View. All right, so who knows Photosphere? All right, I expected this audience would be a big round of applause. Come on, no, just kidding. Woohoo! I love Photosphere. I spin in circles all the time capturing photospheres. You can ask my wife. So Photosphere started off a couple years ago with the Android team where we launched on the Nexus 4, and we created this way to make Street View-like imagery as easy as possible. You just simply held up your phone and spun around and captured 360s just like you've seen in Street View. We've since grown a lot more, and just recently we announced the Google Camera app available for KitKat. Who's got the Google Camera app? All right, everyone should get the Google Camera app. It's really, really cool, and if that's not the sexiest URL, g.co/camera, I don't know what is. So go get that app, and in that you can create 50 megapixel photospheres. Street View is about 75 megapixels, so we're getting up there with Photosphere. Again, all of this done right there with your phone. We've built a viewer for photospheres into Play services. So as Sundar mentioned yesterday, well over 90% of users can get these viewers and can see photospheres. And there's an API for you to hook up to that in your app. And we've created an open metadata standard for Photosphere. We've seen that panoramas were just not growing at the rate in the world that we knew that they could. And so we created an open standard, which I'll talk about in a minute. So 50 megapixels, that's big, but I just want to give you a really clear understanding. So that's the photosphere. And there's the zoom in of the detail that you can get with these images. Again, all of this captured with my Nexus 5, no post-processing or anything like that. I'm from Hawaii. Come on, I had to show a little bit of eye candy. This was a morning in Waikiki. I captured this photosphere. This is now available on Google Maps. And if you come down to Mountain View and you're on our campus there at Google, you can see some amazing places like this. Again, Photosphere can work well indoors, just a little bit of practice keeping the phone close to you, and we could create these really amazing indoor panoramas and experiences that you can use in your apps and publish to maps. So I mentioned the metadata standard. This is a really important thing for us, and it's been a huge success. We didn't want this to just be a closed thing where Photosphere was something that only Google Apps can create, so we made it open. And as a result, we've seen some of the world's top panoramic stitching softwares adopt this standard. So when you save out an image from this software, it'll have the Photosphere metadata in this. It uses Adobe's XMP, which is kind of similar to EXIF, but it's XML-based, and it's very easy to understand. It's human-readable. And you can use this in your images, and that way they'll work on Google+, on Google Maps, on Street View, on Android, on all the Google products that support it. So we've also seen the one-click 360 cameras, like the Ricoh Theta. If anyone has seen Ricoh Theta, who's seen Ricoh Theta? I'm just kind of curious. All right, this is a really cool little device. I see even one over there. You hold this up, you take a picture, it has two fisheye lenses, and it captures the entire scene in one click. It's a really, really cool device, and it uses the Photosphere metadata, so you can add those directly to Google Maps, and I run around like this with these over my head and capture pictures while my wife goes like this. And then there's a number of these devices coming out on Kickstarter soon, or that are on Kickstarter that you may have seen, that are launching this year. These are, again, one-click 360 cameras that are going to create Street View experiences and have used the Photosphere metadata standard. So really exciting year for all of us that are excited about 360s. We also had a great collaboration with the AutoAwesome team in Google+. So if you don't know how to add metadata into JPEGs, and let's face it, most of us don't, just upload these images to Google+. It recognizes that it's a 2x1 panorama. It notices that the edges are kind of matching each other, and it'll AutoAwesome and give you back a copy of your image with the metadata in it that you can immediately put into Google Maps or share on Google+. So let's talk a little bit about how we can actually get Photosphere into your products. I want to dive into some code really quick, so I'll talk about how to actually publish to maps in a minute, but let's talk about how to actually just get these in. So iframe, not really that much code, that's pretty simple, but I had to start somewhere, right? So we have an embeddable viewer. If you go to Views, which is a product I'll talk about in a minute, you can simply copy and paste this HTML snippet, put it right into your apps or your products, and you'll be able to view Photospheres right there. It uses the same Street View viewer that we have, so it's very robust. And we have no usage limits for this. You can customize your presentation of the image. You can tweak parameters and all that. And it's a really great and easy way to put Photospheres into your websites. All right, a little bit of code. I wish I could make it more complicated for you, but it's just not complicated, so it's very, very simple. If you're familiar with the JavaScript API for maps, there is a Street View object in there. And usually you just set the latitude and longitude as to where you want the Street View panorama, and we give you the nearest one. Well, in the case of Photosphere, you actually know the exact image that you want. And so there's a property called pano. And you just tell it the panorama ID that you're interested in, which that iframe code that I just showed you about has in it, so you can just copy and paste those out. And then we'll give you back your Photosphere directly there. It's really just that easy. There's not much more to say. You could build a gallery with the Photospheres using this very, very easily. On Android, it's again the same thing. Instead of specifying a lat long, you see I have a pano ID field or a variable there. That's all you do. So specify that pano, and we'll give you back that image instead of the nearest Street View one. So very, very easy for you to go with Android, capturing panoramas, and then putting them directly back into your Android app without even having to go to a desktop if you don't want to. So I mentioned Views. Views is a community we created to make this easier and easier for you to publish panoramas to the web and create your Street View experiences. So g.co/views, you can go check that out. And this is a place that brings together all of our great Street View special collections and our Trekker collections, but then also content from you. And then that content gets shown on Google Maps. So it's really exciting for us that when you look at a place here like Half Dome and you see all of the Street View paths winding their way through Yosemite, the leftmost image there, the top-ranked image, actually happens to be from a user, and it's a photosphere. You'll see only one Street View panorama on this, but lots of user-contributed content. We've made this content really, really highly promoted because we think it's the most interesting and the most relevant. As Luke mentioned, the most amazing things in the world usually aren't seen from the road, and so you're able to contribute these images. And how cool is it to have the canonical view of Half Dome in Google Maps be your image? I think that's just a really neat experience. As a photographer, I guess. So back to Views. Views is a place that, like Google Maps, lets you browse over an area that you're interested in and see all of the top-ranked imagery there. So on the, we're looking at Las Vegas here because I was recently there for a talk, and all of the images on the right really just do match up to the top spots that you would see around Las Vegas. We also have a top photographers list at the top of the site, so you can find all the people who are really active contributors. And hey, if you're looking to hire a photographer in a spot, this is a great way to find some photographers too. In Views, we also give you a profile page, so sort of like a gallery of your own imagery. And I really love this. This is mine, and it just has all the images that I've been capturing over the last year or so. I travel quite a bit for work, and so you'll see a lot of red dots on my map. This is basically showcasing my travels, and I use this pretty regularly when friends ask me, like, what should I do in Hawaii, or what hike should I do this weekend? I actually find the spots there, and then I send that off, and I said, great, these are all the photospheres that I've taken in that spot. These would be my recommendations of places that you should see. It's really helpful. I'm sure you could find ways to think of how this would be relevant to your business or your users. But we know that Photosphere isn't fully Street View yet, right? It's about connected experiences, not singular one panorama images. And so last year, in December, we announced a feature that lets you take a bunch of dots and connect them, because it's really just that easy. So you just dive into this, this experience here, and you connect the dots. That's what Street View is. It's connecting the dots. You fix the locations a little bit. You rotate the images if their compass heading wasn't quite on. And then you go ahead and you publish that. It's basically from your phone to this tool and then right back out to Street View. It's a very, very quick and easy process. You could do the Moscone Center by the end of the day if you really wanted to. And if you do, come let me know. I'll get you a T-shirt. So everyone does things for T-shirts, it seems. So we're really excited about this. And as a result, we've seen some amazing things coming in from our users. This is a great user up in Montreal who went out in the freezing cold and documented his local park with 400 panoramas in the freezing cold as his hands were like, barely kind of able to open anymore, and documented the entire park and published it to Google Maps. And now this experience is there for all of you to use in your apps, to explore or to look. And it's just this pride in your place, pride in the place that you live, that really drove him to go out and do that. So I challenge you to go out there and find places that you care about and document those too. So we've spoken a lot about how to do things, and we've talked a lot about why you would do it, to inspire people to travel and to help them make good decisions. So I also want to talk a little bit strategically about some of the benefits that this has for you and for your clients. So who puts photos on social media? I don't even need to see hands. That's probably everybody. So we all put photos up there, and then we know that everyone's going to see it right now, right? You publish this photo, you get lots of engagement immediately over a few minutes, maybe a few hours, maybe even a few days if you're really popular. When you put photos on Google Maps, people are not going to see it immediately at this really, really high rate. What they're in fact going to see is when it's relevant to them, when they're planning trips, when they're thinking about travel, when they're dreaming of their next vacation. And so if that's important to you, this is exactly what you need to be thinking about. This is where people go to plan these trips. They probably don't go look at a social media channel to think about a vacation. And even the most beautiful photo you see right there might not be actually the right time for them to be thinking about a trip. And so I like to think of it this way. This is a graph, there's no numbers on it, it's a concept, of total views over time, of thinking about how many views your photo is going to get over time and what kind of engagement you're going to expect. In social media, again, you get these great spikes, and this is a really amazing way to get your message out right now. definitely do that. It's really, really valuable. But what we've seen, and as the data starts to show, and I'll show you some data in a minute, over time, you're going to get far more engagement for relevant places and interesting places when you publish content in a maps-based environment. Because again, it's constantly relevant to people over and over and over again throughout time, as long as that place continues to be a place that people are looking at. Again, Google Maps has 1 billion users. 1 billion users are going to see these places. And so I'm suspecting this is a skeptical audience that wants some data. So let's show a little bit of data just to show how this has been working in the wild for some of our users. So here's a user, really talented panoramic photographer who travels the world. And look at the type of engagement that he's getting here. In just less than a year, he's gotten almost 6 million views of the content that he's published via Google Maps. But what's even more interesting is that he only has a few hundred followers in his Google Plus circles. He's not a celebrity, he's just an amazing photographer, and his work is getting out there, and it's helping people. Think of that 6 million not just as 6 million views, but 6 million opportunities to inspire someone to go to a spot or to virtually explore a place. He's getting all of this engagement not through social media strategies or marketing strategies or anything like that, but just by traveling to interesting places and publishing really useful imagery. Here's another example. This is an agency down in Australia that's been traveling the world, and they do lots of panoramic photography. They do development work for clients. And in just 3 months, they came to me a couple months ago and asked what to do, and I just said, well, publish your imagery. In just 3 months, they've built up over 3 million views on their content. They have amazing content. It's really, really beautiful. And you can see that, again, they have under 100 followers in their Google Plus circles. This is just really a type of engagement that we don't tend to think about, but they're publishing content in places that matter, in places that people really look at. And their tour of the Eiffel Tower is just one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. So again, really, really good success story here. So to get started with views, g.co/views. We've been at this for a while. We have some really, really exciting announcements coming up in the next few months that I can't talk about today, but trust me, you want to follow along and see what we're doing. It's going to be a really fun year for views. All right, so to summarize, today what we've shown you is how we've been collecting the world's largest geolocated photo library using Street View and all of our different products like Trekker. But most importantly, I think, for this group is that when we don't have the places that you care about, we've enabled you to collect the imagery of the places you want and to publish it on Google Maps for everyone to see, and then for you to use in your apps and your websites, and use all of the same APIs that you know and are familiar with for Street View, but with Photospheres and your own content. And again, why are we doing this? It's really just about helping everybody have an amazing experience in the real world. You know, we want to inspire you to travel, to see different places. This happens to be my favorite place on the planet, right there in Hawaii. And I think that we have this opportunity with imagery and with maps to help people have better real world experiences. We need your help. We can't do this all ourselves. People have unique approaches to how they start their experiences for traveling or for dreaming, and that's where you guys come in. So we welcome you to use this imagery, to let us know if we're not providing the right hooks and APIs for you to accomplish what you want. And I'm really excited to see what you're going to do. So thank you very much. You can learn more about these products at those URLs. I'll leave that up for a minute. And if you want to give feedback on the talk, that's the QR code. And we'll take questions for 5-10 minutes. Thank you. So if you want to ask questions, come up to the mic.
Hello. Hey, Evan. I've actually been a Google Trusted Photographer since 2012 in the Netherlands. And that led actually to me going into the development and working with the virtual tours from Google Maps Business View. So I'm the founder of TourDash, and we really work with all of the imagery that the trusted photographers create. And one of the biggest things that we run into, my voice keeps dropping, sorry. One of the biggest things that we run into is that the Street View API is not as well supported on a mobile device outside of an application. So if you're looking at the virtual tours from within even the Google Chrome browser or any of the other default browsers, you're really experiencing a subpar virtual tour.
Yeah, we're working on a better viewer, which we'll be rolling out soon, that will work on mobile web.
And I can get that in black and white?
I'll give you it in full color.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, Luke and I will hang out here. All right, there we go.
One more.
Yep.
Yeah, hi. Oh, sorry, I heard an echo. I was just curious if there was a hardware issue or just a choice why there's only pictures during the daylight, or if there's other sensors intended in the future for
So for street view, you mean?
Yes.
So typically we try to get pictures when the light is best. So only daylight. We have some pictures of some places at night, like we have some Las Vegas and some some places in New York. But typically we don't do that. Now with the time machine layer, which I talked about, it is actually possible to have pictures, at night and during the day, and to have them both on the product.
So if they're user generated at night?
No problem. Yeah, we want that. If they are good, they'll be surfaced. They'll be prominent.
And then I think there's.
Yeah, hi, I work for a major university, and I'm wondering, what you've shown seems to be individuals publishing photos as that person. How would you recommend a major institution publish interiors of lots of places, pathways, that kind of stuff? What would
So
you do?
in fact, I showed Panidia, which was an agency, so they're an organization, not an individual. So it works just as well for large organizations using a Google Plus page identity, and you could publish that way if you'd like. For university, we of course have university programs where we could bring a trekker and things like that to your university, or the Google Business View photographers as well. So,
But they can do it themselves.
or you could do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hi. So it looks like you're doing some amazing things right now in terms of like going under the coral reefs and then trekkers who are taking hikes. Are there particular areas of the world that you're now trying to tackle, or new unknowns that you're particularly keen on venturing into?
I think we want to go everywhere over time, and we try to start with the places that are most interesting or most unique or most remote. So it's hard to give you an exact list of places, but generally we want to go everywhere. And I think when we have, so we have all these partners contacting us trying to borrow the tracker for their own collects. We try to prioritize this based on what we think we need most, or areas where we don't have any imagery, for example. That's what I would say. Evan, anything to add?
And we're seeing users, photographers, businesses all over the world publishing on their own. So when we say, we want to go everywhere, like Luke and I would love to go on all these travels, and so if you have a great place, let us know.
Yeah.
But the reality is we can't go everywhere ourselves, and so that's why we've opened up everything to you. And I'm seeing all of these amazing spots popping up on the map as I look at our data that I just never even knew about. And so that's the exciting thing, right, is seeing that we've enabled you to go the places that we can't. Yep.
Just wondering about aerial imagery. There's
Yes.
a lot of drones out there, and there's obviously issues with capturing the top of the sphere, but whether you're able to bring in that imagery.
So we don't have any drones capturing imagery right now. We just have
Right, but if users wanted to submit
so-
their own drones, it would be probably half of a sphere.
Oh yeah.
So if you put the Photosphere metadata standard in it, I've seen actually people hanging like GoPro rigs from the bottom of a drone.
Yeah.
We have tons of that imagery already being published from users on Views and on Google Maps. It's just a panorama, right? It gets published, so it would work just fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah, definitely.
Good idea.
And let us know if you do it. I'd love to see it. All right, well, thank you very much. We'll hang around for a few more minutes and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep. Thank you.